All right, this should be streaming live on YouTube. Yeah, you can follow along on the internet. I don't know if it's, and it should be called Exporting and Publishing Projects. So where we left off was that we wanted to have we wanted to submit our game to our game jam, right? So in order to do that, you have to have a game itself to submit. So I'm going to open up Godot, and this will work for any project in the compatibility renderer, right? So again, if you're doing a 3D project and you want it to be playable online, make sure you're in the compatibility renderer mode. If you're on Forward Plus or mobile, you won't be able to play it online, okay? You can still submit your project if, like, let's say you're working on a 3D game and you really want it to be Forward Plus. I'll totally accept it as a project on Itch. I'll just show you a different way for sort of publishing it. It won't be playable, and that'll be clearer in a moment, right? But so right now we have this project. This is a super simple, dumb little project, right? It just says, welcome to this website, right? But this will work with any sort of Godot project. So let's say I enjoy this. I'm happy with it. In order to publish your projects or export them to any platform, the first thing you need to do is go to Project and then go to click Export. And then typically you're not going to see... Here, I'll delete this. When you get here, it will look empty, right, and nude. And you might also see something that says, like, you're missing the project templates. I've already downloaded and installed the project templates on this computer, so it's not going to show up automatically for me. But typically, when you first do it for the first time, you're going to basically be taken to this dialog. And all you need to do is click download and install from the best available mirror, right? These default settings are fine. This is just basically getting the code necessary to export your projects, right? Because this is also what we're doing right now is we're taking our Godot project and we're using other code to actually format it and package it properly so that it can be deployed either as a standalone computer application, as a mobile application, or as a web project, right? And because those platforms change regularly, we also regularly want to download and update these templates. So these are the code used to export your project to a platform. Does that make sense? Yeah. So this takes a minute, but you only need to do it once. Although every time you update to a new version of Godot, it's recommended to download the latest templates. So I'm just doing that right now. In the meantime, while that's happening, I won't do anything because I just want this to happen. I'll make my computer go faster. That's what I'll do. Speed mode, activate. Let's go, Sonic. Yeah, so this downloads and installs. What is sort of worth noting is that the platforms Godot currently supports out of the box are web exports, Mac computer games, Windows games, and Linux games, and mobile for either iOS or Android. So that's a lot of platforms. Notably, what's missing from those are consoles, right? If you want to deploy your game to a console, it's actually slightly more complicated. The reason is not technical, but actually legal, because Godot is an open source project and all the code has to be open source, they actually legally are not allowed to include code in the engine that exports to consoles, because all those console export code, that's actually proprietary code. That's like Nintendo secret code that they own, and you have to pay them like $1,000 or whatever to get access to that code. It is fairly straightforward to deploy your games to consoles. You just want to use, there's a couple of companies or tools that are out there that help you do that process. But that's like more advanced, right? Start doing that once you've actually launched a game on a computer first, and then you can figure out how to export it to a console. But so I've downloaded and installed this export template, so that's good. Now when I actually want to export the project, all I need to do is go to Export, and I just click Add, and you'll see here are all the different platforms I can export to. To publish onto the web, I'm going to click on Web, okay? And you might get some errors when you first do this. There might be some red little things. What's nice about those errors, though, is they have like little links in them that say like fix the error. You basically just click the little red things and toggle the things that it suggests you do, and then they disappear. I know that sounds vague, but it really is that easy. It's stuff like, for instance, they might want you to sort of change the texture compression or whatever. But you basically sort of like click those little things, right? So once those errors have gone away, then what you can do is you can, you have a couple of different options, but basically, if you want to have any sort of like custom HTML, you can include custom HTML. There's a bunch of different settings which you can change if you want to change any particular settings like the background color or whatever. But if you like your project basically the way it is, all you have to do is click Export Project. And then what you want to do is, what's a good practice to do is to create a folder inside your project called Exports. And then for each version, I like to sort of create a folder, and so I'll say version 4, and then hit OK. And then for web exports in particular, particularly if you're exporting to itch.io, you need your file to be called index.html. Index.html is a standard file name for web files, and they point to the root file at any sort of web address. Okay, so for your export, you want to have index.html set. Then you just hit save, and I think I actually just did it. Yeah, I just did it. I'm going to actually untoggle the debug. I'll hit save and OK. And then this is a very small project, so it happens very quickly. But what you'll see now is if I open up this folder, if I open up this folder in the file manager, you'll see I have this exports folder, I have this folder I just created, and I have all these web files, right? I have the index.html file, I have a JavaScript file, I have icons, I have audio workers. These are all working together to create a web application that you can just deploy, okay? And notably, you don't just have to deploy it to itch. So for instance, if you're familiar with GitHub Pages, GitHub repositories themselves have a really nice method for deploying web applications. I'll just show you that briefly in a couple of minutes. Any repository you have, you can go to the settings, and then you can go to GitHub Pages, and then you just select a branch that you want to have be the base for the code branch. I'm just picking the main branch and the root folder. And then you can even give it a custom domain, but it'll give you a web domain where your website is, right? So this is actually the domain for our syllabus, right? So if you click this domain, you'll see this syllabus here online, and whatever files you have up online will be hosted. And if they're web files, they'll run in the browser. So what that means for our purposes is, I believe I did this in advance. Yeah, so this link takes you directly to this web address, right? So this is just here on the syllabus. This is right? This is the root repository folder. This is the modules folder. This is the web export folder. This is the exports folder in the web the exports folder in the web export folder. This is the version 3 folder, and what's inside this version 3 folder is that index.html exported code, which runs in the browser as a thing in the browser, right? So basically, all you need to do if you're hosting something online is just take these files and put them in a folder, and they'll be online. Okay. Very briefly, I'll show you how to push it all to itch. So let's say I'm on itch.io. I can go to my dashboard. I can create, speed running this. We have like 2 minutes left. I'm going to create a new project. I'll call this Export Demo. It'll give it a default URL, which you can change. You can give it any sort of descriptions that you like. You can charge people for your work, which is pretty sick. You can get paid by making games. Please don't make me pay to grade your games. But if you want, you can definitely do a suggested donation. You can add any sort of description you want, and then you just click Upload Files. And actually, what's important for itch.io is that you need to take the folder that you have, and you need to compress it into a zip file. So I have this version 2.zip. I have version 4, right? If I wanted to actually use this particular folder, this like latest version, I would just need to like go to the folder, right click on it, and hit compress. It looks a little different on Linux, but you can do the exact same functionality on Mac or Windows. You give it a name and you pick a zip file. So you just want to compress your folder with the index.html files inside of it. Just compress that into one zip file. Then on itch, select the zip file, hit open, and then you can click, instead of executable, you can just click, you just click more, no, where do I do it? 1 minute, oh God. Yeah, I get that a lot. Oh, here we go. So right in this kind of project, instead of downloadable, right? So let's say you're doing a Forward Plus game and you don't want to make it playable in the browser. You can export it as a downloadable project, and then I'll just be able to download the zip file. If you want to play it in the browser, just click this toggle and do HTML. Then down here in the zip files, you can say this file will be played in browser. And then you just sort of say, you have a bunch of other options for how you want it displayed, either if it's like embedded or full screen. You can add all these comments and things. In order to publish it, the steps are you have to first look at it as a draft, I think. And you'll see it's loading for the first time. Here it is. You can run the game. This is the game itself. Look at that. Then you can go back. You might be able to skip this. You might be able to also just make it public. And then you can just make it public. Now it's online. Anyone in the world can see this game. And then the final step when you are submitting to the Game Jam is just go to the Game Jam itself, hit submit your project, and then pick it from this menu. Where is it? No! I'll refresh it. Submit your project. There it is, export demo. Submit. And then you can see your submissions, right? And then they're here online as a part of the Jam. And this will be a really nice way for us to sort of collect and curate our projects. I don't know why I can't see it. Oh, here, they're here in submissions. Here it is. Here's the submission demo. You can just view the game page, and right here it is online. So that's basically how you upload your projects to Itch. I know I did this very fast, so if you have any questions, please ask me. I can also review it again a little bit next class. Please also book office hours if you have questions in your games, right? I have lots of office hours on Thursdays in particular. If those times don't work for you, email me. We can set up something else. I'm really looking forward to play testing your games in class on Friday. Bring in something to play on Friday and you'll get 5 points. On Monday, we'll talk about the industry and game design stuff. And then there is no class on the final day, just turn in your final. So we are hurtling towards the end. Have a great week. I will see you all on Friday. Thank you.